Hey guys, my name's Ivy and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be telling you about 8 stories. The first one is about a fight I got into in the 10th grade. I personally think at the time the reason why I got into a fight wasn't stupid, but the fight itself was stupid. So what happened was I had a boyfriend at this time, and I would sit with him every day at lunch. There was this girl who had picked on me for a good amount of time, and she hugged my boyfriend every day at lunch at school. And so that day I got tired of it. I asked her nicely to quit hugging him, and she was being rude about it. She said that she wouldn't do it because she could do anything she wanted. So I asked her nicely again. She said no. And at this time we were in choir, and we were filling up balloons to put into the band teacher's office because he was away with his wife so she could have their baby. I think it was a girl. I think we were blowing up pink and purple and white balloons. Stuff him in his office. When he came back, they would be all falling out everywhere. So once we got done with this, we went back to the choir room, and she just started calling me names, so I called her some names back that weren't really all that nice. And so the bell rung. We were leaving the classroom. Everybody was walking down the hallway, and I was standing next to my friend. She was standing next to this other girl who was an acquaintance of mine. I didn't talk to her very much, but I knew her somewhat well. I sat with her at breakfast for a good 2 years, I think. And so she was talking to her about it. I overheard her, and I told my friend next to me that what I said was true because that's what she was. She heard me say that, so she comes back to me. She shoves me. I throw my books down, which is where it starts to get stupid. I throw my books down. I throw a punch. She pulls my hair, gets me to my knees, and just slaps my head. That's it. That's all she does is slap my head. I punch her. Didn't really do much. I don't know if it's because I didn't have anything to eat. I was really hungry. I didn't eat anything that day. Don't know why. I think maybe because at the time I wasn't hungry. So later we went to the office. We told, actually she ran off right before the teacher came. I told her, I called her a chicken. And then we went to the office and we told the principal the exact same story. And then we both got suspended for about 3 days, I think. And then that was the end of that. I mean, she would still talk, but we didn't fight anymore after that. Okay, now another story is there was this house that me and my parents were living in before this one. And we had some weird stuff going on there. It wasn't anything big or scary or anything like that. But to me, I got scared really easy because I was younger. I think I was like 11 or 12. I was younger. And occasionally my parents would be over at the neighbor's house, and I would be home alone. So there was one day my parents went over to my neighbor's house, and they were just sitting in there chatting, I guess. I don't know what they were chatting about. Honestly, I wasn't there. I was at the house. So I was there at the house by myself. I think I was watching TV, or I was in my room, one of the two. And then I heard a door shut. And at the time, my cousins were staying with me. And so I thought maybe it was them in the house, or they had come back or something. So I go and check and see who it was. Nobody was there. It sounded like a door closed, but nobody was there. And I was like, okay, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just the wind or air suction or whatever. So I go and check it out. Nothing there. I'm like, okay, no big deal. Then I hear my name, which is where it started to get creepy. I heard my name being called. I was like, is that you? Who's there? Helen, you there? Mom? Dad? No answer. So I'm like, maybe I'm just hearing things. Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me. And that wasn't the case. I heard a door shut again. This time it was the bathroom door. So you know what I did? I got my shoes in and hightailed it across the street to my neighbors. And there was this other time where my cousins, my mom, my dad, my cousins were all home. My dad was just about to go to sleep, I think, or he was at work. And my mom was sitting in the chair. I was sitting at the table, like the coffee table on the floor, and so were my cousins because we were playing a card game, I think. Some type of game. And I don't know, I didn't hear it personally, but my cousins and my mom said that they heard something. I was like, I didn't hear anything. And then they heard it again. I think they heard like a little girl sighing or giggling. It's one of those two. I'm not quite sure because I didn't hear it. It was a long time ago, so I don't really remember. And then, where'd it go? Where'd my pen go? Dude, where'd you go? Oh, there it is. Okay, here's another thing that happened. That's the end of that story. Now, there's this thing that, I don't know if they still have it, but there was this little dance for 6th grade. You could start going in 6th grade, and you stopped going after 8th grade, I believe. It was called MORP. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically just like prom except backwards and for 6th through 8th graders. It wasn't really that big of a deal. It kind of sucked actually. But in the 6th grade, which is when I went to my first MORP, I was there and I was hanging out with this person I knew and her friend. And so I go out, I didn't want to hang out with them all night. So I decided to go over and ask this guy that I liked at the time if he wanted to dance. His response was just smile, and then he ran into the bathroom. And then I looked at his friends. I wasn't going to say anything to them, but I looked at his friends, and they ran along with him. I wasn't very liked when I was little. I was very mean. They also thought I was crazy. But, like I said, I wasn't very liked. And so I started getting a little bit upset, like sad upset, because the guy that I liked had run away from me. So I sat on the floor crying, and there's this girl that I know, I'm not going to say her name, but she was in the 10th grade at the time. I rode the bus with her. She knew who I was. She knew how I was. And so what she did is she told me to get up, stop crying. So I got up, I stopped crying, and she said, come with me. I'm like, okay. Then she said, I've got someone I want you to meet. I'm like, okay, no big deal, fine. So she brings me over to this guy who's in the same grade as her, by the way, and is like super, super tall, and I'm like 4 feet tall. And I think he was like 6 foot, at the, yeah, like 6 foot. And I'm like 4 foot tall, 4.5 foot, somewhere around there. I was short. And so she was like, hey, can you do me a favor? And he was like, what? It's like, she said, could you dance with her? The guy she liked ran off. So I didn't know what I was doing, since I wasn't very liked. I didn't know what I was doing. I had never danced before except with my grandpa. And I didn't really, it wasn't really anything, but anyway. So I tried to put my hands around his waist because I'm awkward. And he was like, no, you put your hands up here. So he put my hands on his shoulders, he put his hands around my waist, and we just started dancing. And that was the sweetest thing that anyone had ever done for me. I thought he was so nice and so sweet. And then when I got into high school, I think, yeah, in the 8th grade, because I was in choir in the 8th grade. So when I got into high school in the 8th grade, we had a concert for choir, and I think he was in band, possibly. I think so. Well, the concert was over, and me and my friends were just having a good old time. We run to the back of the auditorium, go through the door, and I fall on my butt in front of him. It was the funniest thing and most embarrassing thing in my life. But hey, at least he asked me if I was okay. I see him in the store at my job every now and then with his girlfriend. Next on the list. Okay. Now this was more recently. There's this guy that I like. He is about 7.5, somewhere around there. 7.5 years older than me, which is kind of weird, I guess, because I'm not a big fan of, I like older guys, but not more than 5 years older than me. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, I had a big thing for him, and I kind of still do, honestly. But anyway, so there was this one day while I was at work, and he worked there just temporarily until he found a good job, because he had just graduated from college. And so, but I would occasionally flirt with him. I hoped that he didn't realize that's what I was doing, but he did. It was pretty obvious. It was obvious to everyone at work. But there was this one day that I was working 10 to 6, I believe, and I had just gone on my break, my first break of the day. It was my first break of the day. And no, it was the second. No, it was the first. No, it was the second. It was the second break of the day. After, not like 2 hours after I got back from lunch. It was the second break of the day. And no, it was the first, because it was slow when I got back from break. But anyway, as I was saying, 2 hours after I clocked in, I went on break, and I was talking to him, and I decided to tell him that I liked him because I'm stupid like that and creepy like that. And so I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And he was like, okay, cool, what's up? I'm like, okay, so I know it's pretty obvious, but I just want to clarify that you don't like me like that. He was like, and I said, I know it's obvious that I like you, but I just need to have clarification that you don't like me like that. He was like, oh, okay, well, no, I'm sorry, I don't. I only see you as a friend. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. It happens. And so this entire time, my face is turning red like it is right now. Well, yeah, like it is right now. And my heart was beating out of my chest. I was just talking to him about that because he's not the kind of guy that would go for someone like me, because he was or still is an athlete, and just athletes don't go for me. It's simple as that. But anyway, so he asked me why I liked him, and I was like, well, okay, you're cute. You know you're cute. You gotta know it. And he was like, well, I'm average. And by the way, I don't think he's average at all, and neither do majority of the people at my work. They don't think he's average. But anyway, long story short, it was even more awkward than before. Next. Now this one was actually almost a week ago. Which was the day I made my first video, actually. So I had just gotten off work. No, it was maybe 2 hours before I got to go home from work. And my ex-boyfriend comes in the store, and we're still pretty good friends. I mean, it's not too awkward. But he buys me a Monster because I was joking around with him, because he was buying a Monster and I was joking around with him saying, where's mine? You know? And he was like, you want one? I'm like, I was kidding, but sure. So he buys me a Monster, and it's maybe about half an hour to an hour before I get off work, and I go to take a drink from my Monster, and I thought everything was gonna be fine, and I feel something in my mouth. I'm like, what is that? Okay, and then I swallow the Monster, keep whatever is in my mouth, and I spit it out on a tissue. I ate a fly. It drowned in my Monster. So right as soon as I got home, I brushed my teeth like there was no tomorrow, and swished my mouth with mouth rinse, and then I came in here and made a video. Now this one was from a long time ago, like way before all those weird experiences in the previous house. The house before the previous house that I lived in, which was like really old. I don't know when it was built, but it was old. Well, me and this person I knew at the time, who we were like best friends back then, we were just like playing around with each other, and yeah, this gets kind of weird and personal at the same time, but we were playing around with each other, just, I don't know why, I don't know what caused it, but we just kept giving each other wedgies back and forth. It was the strangest thing in my life. It was, I don't know how I remember it, but I do. It's just really weird. So we were doing that, and the last wedgie she gave me, she ripped my underwear. And this is where it turns to a sad story, but I'm not going to say the sad part. But we just, like, it hurt, and then we just started laughing about it. It was painful. Okay, now, if you remember correctly from the first story I told you about the boyfriend I had before I got into that fight, well, this story has something to do with him and another person. So, I believe it was my junior year. I had just moved to the school I graduated from because I was on a break from him because my Nana had just passed away, and I just needed a little time to myself and also to think, because I wasn't really there, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but anyway, so I was on a break from him, and then he started going to the tech that I went to called West Watkins, just so he could see me some more. I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. If he wants to go, he can go. I can't stop him. So, then we got back together because I saw that this other girl was taking an interest in him, and I didn't want that because I'm stupid for taking break in the first place. But then they started to get close, and I didn't like it, so I talked to him and I said, I don't want to be on break anymore. He was like, okay. And see, he took it as we broke up. We didn't break up, but so we were back together, and then he still seemed like he wasn't very happy in the relationship, so I actually broke up with him because he seemed like he was happier with her than he was with me. And then that's when it started to change and become a whole bunch of drama. She had a problem with another guy at West Watkins. He was being very disrespectful to her. So I said something to try and defend her, and she thanked me, and we were like starting to be friends, you know, and then this whole thing happened. And then I broke up with him. He got together with her the same day that we broke up, by the way. Then around that, in there somewhere, I found out about it, and I was at Frontier City with my parents. So I found out about it. I started going crazy. I was crying a lot, and then I started screaming at him, and you know, my heart was broken. I just didn't feel right. I was heartbroken a lot. Then, not too long, like about 2 months after they got together, I had still been texting him, not like in any relationship kind of way, just like friends, you know. And so he was telling me that he didn't really want to be with her anymore because he thought she was too overprotective and clingy, and I don't see what was wrong with that since, I mean, he was in a relationship with me. But anyway, so when he broke up with her, he got back together with me. Then I found out that he cheated on me with her. A little bit before or a little bit after my birthday. And I was stupid enough to give him a second chance. And they're still together today. And me and her didn't like each other for the longest time. But, I mean, she doesn't really trust me because I can understand why. She doesn't really trust me. But we're cool now. I mean, no big deal. The past is the past. I asked her if we could just put everything behind us because we were seniors at the time, and you don't want to leave high school with a whole bunch of drama on you. It's just, I don't think it's right. So I tried to fix that, and let's hope it worked. Okay, this is the last story. Lucky you guys, probably tired of hearing me talk. But the last story is when I was little, before I moved to Ohio, I think. I was about 6 or 7, I want to say like 6 or 7. And I spent the night with my aunt. And I don't know why this scared me so much. I guess because I was really little. But I remember it to this day because it scared me so bad. But if you've never heard, well, it was sort of, how do I explain this? Okay, I spent the night with my aunt, And she said that I could sleep on the couch because she didn't have any extra beds. So I was like, okay, no big deal. Actually, I kind of want to sleep in the chair. And the chair was out over by a window. Like a really big window. And so it was time for me to go to bed. So I lay in the chair and all I did was close my eyes. That's all I did. And so right as soon as I closed my eyes, I started dreaming. Don't know how that works, but it does. And I started dreaming about my aunt and my uncle going to, what was it? An auction, I think. And it was just really weird because I wanted to go with them. I wanted to go to the auction and just look at little ducks, I guess. I don't know. But they said I couldn't go, so they left me with babysitters. Twin babysitters, to be exact. And so I was playing with my toys, and they were sewing on their sewing machine. And this is where it starts to get crazy and creepy and weird. So then the sewing machine just went all crazy. This is what scared me, is when it started to get crazy, because I started to get all bug-eyed, and the sewing machine kept sewing stuff together. Don't know how, but it did. It just was running all over the room, sewing stuff together. And you know how some people have just like really creepy dreams? This is one of those. It sewed the two babysitters together. It creeped me out really bad. And so once I saw that, I ran off to the kitchen and I tried to hide behind this thing that was in the middle of the kitchen, which in my aunt and uncle's house, there's not really a thing in the middle of the kitchen. I don't know why it was, but there was. So I hid behind that, and the babysitters were trying to come after me. Don't know why, but they were. And then I saw them still coming after me, like they knew where I was, so I tried to hide behind the refrigerator. No, I was hiding behind the refrigerator first. And then they knew where I was, and then I hid behind this thing in the middle of the room. And a giant spider as big as the ceiling comes running after me. So I run from there and I go into my aunt and uncle's room, try and tell them what was going on. And I see skeletons of them. It was weird. And the entire time that this dream is going on, I am fully conscious. It's just my eyes are closed and I can't move. So sleep paralysis. It was the scariest thing I'd ever experienced. And right after I saw the skeletons, I was able to open my eyes. As soon as I opened my eyes, I got up and ran into my aunt and uncle's room and told them about the dream I had. And they were like, "You weren't even in there for 5 minutes. How could you have possibly been asleep?" I was like, "I wasn't." It was just really scary. I don't understand what kind of child has that kind of dream. That's disturbing. But anyway, that's all I have for you today, guys. If you want to hear more, let me know. If you liked this, put a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below. See you guys later.